June 28th, 2022, and I am here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, on another sunny and beautiful day. It's supposed to be a high of 88 degrees today, and the Breakthrough Tour continues. The next stop that we will have will be on Tuesday, July the 5th, up in Jamestown, North Dakota. We just posted that yesterday. So for those of you that are in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, that want to come out and get your soul wounds healed and get delivered from demonic strongholds, then come on out. Again, the details are at restoredtofreedom.com/events, and then also you can see on Eventbrite and also at Restored to Freedom on Facebook. So again, next Tuesday, July 5th, we'll be in Jamestown, North Dakota, and then July 8th and 9th, we'll be out in Billings, Montana, at the, I'm trying to think of the name, anyway, the details are on the website. And then August the 12th, we'll be in Malvern, Arkansas. August the 13th, we'll be in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and we'll continue to add more as we go. So hello, I see Patrick Ishii on YouTube. Hello to Shauna and Tina on Facebook. So today, topic of the day is, are you going to stay in bondage in Egypt, or are you going to break free, into your promised land? And that applies really in a lot of different situations in people's lives. We have obviously strongholds that we could be addicted to, various things, and we also have people that are in our lives that could be from the enemy, that are trying to hold us back or trying to control us, trying to manipulate us. And it's extremely hard to discern, because some of these people are in the church. Some of them could be pastors, some of them could be worship leaders, some of them could be your mentors. And the enemy wants us to be nice to everyone and to tolerate people that, if they are of the enemy, if they are trying to control you and stop you from your true calling in the Lord, then they're actually your enemy, and they're not your friend, and they're not could be a family member, could be even a spouse. We understand that the enemy sets up a lot of marriages to where you are in a relationship with someone that has not got your best interest at heart. And of course, there's pastors and people in church that may not have your best interest at heart. So it's very hard to discern, but understanding, if you are struggling really with anything, if you're struggling with addictions, a lot of times we get hurt, we get wounded when we grow up, and then we have addictions to things. Could be smoking, could be drinking, could be overeating, could be exercising or not exercising. If you're not at peace, balance and peace is a good sign that you are healed and that you are delivered. But there's a lot of people that don't have peace in their lives, and you can't fake peace. So what I'm seeing, even across the country, with Roe versus Wade being overturned, that a lot of people were in bondage. A lot of people would have sexual relationships with people that they're not married to, and then they want to do away with a innocent baby. That is their consequences for choosing their actions, and they don't want to be held accountable for things. So there's a lot of things that we turn to, counterfeit type comforts that are not in our best interest. And to break free from that, there is a risk and there is a level of faith that we all need in order to do so. And so you think about the Hebrews, they were in bondage, I believe it was like 400 years in Egypt. That's a long time. And when finally their deliverer, Moses, comes into the picture, it's not easy to get like 1 million people on board to make the trek, and leave. You see about all the things God had to do to those who were their abusers, their controllers, in order to get Pharaoh to actually allow and let the people go. And then here's Moses trying to orchestrate getting people to leave and to go to their freedom. And then once they finally leave, And it takes a lot of faith. It takes a lot of faith for people to say, I'm going to step away from what I've known. And again, it could be addictions. It could be you're addicted to a person. It could be your spouse. If your spouse is abusive, if they're controlling, if they're manipulative, they would have demonic spirits. And a lot of people are in those relationships because they're afraid of what would happen if they part, if they separate and get on healthy ground. And they know the familiar of the control and the manipulation of what they've endured in the past life. But for them to break free, oftentimes people are like, gee, I don't know what it's going to look like. How am I going to provide for myself? How am I going to be able to pay for the bills? Where am I going to stay? And all these things. And it's not easy. I had to end up doing it, and it wasn't easy. I had to trust the Lord. So there's a level of faith that we need to have. Do we trust the demonic spirits that have been oppressing us, trying to convince us that if you leave, or if you try to break free from this addiction or that addiction, it's not going to work. This is your comfort place. And you think about the Hebrews, when they were trying to leave, they had the choice once they got to the Red Sea that they looked like there's no way. And a lot of them wanted, oh my gosh, we're going to be killed out here. Why did we leave bondage? Why did we leave slavery? Why did we leave what we knew for something that we don't know? So there is a lot of faith that it takes for us to take that step away from things that we're addicted to, step away from people that are toxic. And again, toxic people, a lot of them are in the church. They're not healed, they're not delivered. And they can call themselves whatever, a prophet or a pastor or your mentor or whatever. But if you're starting to discern that they're overstepping their bounds and controlling you, then you might have to pull away. And that's not easy. It's never easy to pull away from a person that you thought was your friend. It may be someone that's a relative. It may be your father. It may be your mother. Jesus said that he came for division. He didn't come for unity, and that a man may have to have his enemies be those of his own household. So it could be your spouse, it could be your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle. And it's very hard to pull away from someone that you've had a relationship with your whole life. But if it's toxic, and if you know that, okay, I'm serving Jesus now, I'm obeying what God says and the Bible says, and I'm going to have to pull away from a person that maybe you loved, but maybe they never were able to love you the way that they should. And the goal of pulling away and serving the Lord and obeying Jesus is you will be blessed by the Lord. Ultimately, you're obeying God. We need to always serve God. And if we have someone that is in close relationship to us that's not, maybe they made an idol of something before the Lord, you may have to pull away, and then that will make them hopefully want to be in the freedom of the promised land where you are. And if we stay attached to people or things that are toxic, that are not godly for us, then we're not serving the Lord. We can make idols of people, idols before the Lord. And again, we can make idols of our spouse. And if our spouse is serving demonic spirits and their behavior, you're seeing that because of that, then you may have to say, listen, I love you, but I can't stay in Egypt with you anymore. I need to go to the promised land, and hopefully you'll come with me. God gives us all a free will, and people have free wills to choose if they want freedom or not. And it's a hard decision for some people, because if they're used to going back to their familiar spirits of their lives, it's scary for them to break free. They're used to hearing those demonic thoughts in their mind. And then to break free, it's not an easy thing to do. They have to trust the Lord. Do you truly trust the Lord? And in a lot of cases, I understand. I had to break free myself. I had to separate from a person that I was married to that I loved, but yet I was getting abused all the time, and it was toxic, and it was horrible. And the demons wanted to stop me from doing anything for the Lord. And the Lord finally told me, who are you going to serve, the demons in her or me? You have to make a decision. If you choose to serve the demons in her, then you are bowing down to Satan, essentially, the demons in her. If you choose to serve me, then she has the free will to choose to get healed and set free and delivered. If she chooses not to, then that's her responsibility. But you have to make sure that you are choosing to serve what the Lord is. So So there's a lot of people that are in different situations right now, and I know that in the landscape of where we're living today, there's a lot of unrest, a lot of confusion, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, and there's a lot of people that are in the church now that are being exposed. If they are not for what God wants, if they are not for, the saving of lives, from murder of babies, then that shows you where they are. If they are for, sexual perversion, there's a lot of people that have sexual perversion in their lives. They're looking at pornography, they're masturbating, they're doing things they're not supposed to be doing behind closed doors, and then they come out, in the pulpit, and then they are living a double life. And God knows it. God looks at our heart. God searches our heart. He searches our mind. And so are we more afraid of a person and what they might say and do to us? Are we more revered with the Lord? Hopefully we're going to be more serving God and saying, I'm going to be more afraid of disobeying God than I am breaking free from someone that might lie about me, that might gossip about me, that might come against. But there is tremendous freedom once you've made the decision to say, listen, I'm going to serve the Lord. I'm going to make sure that I'm healed, make sure that I'm delivered. And then all those relationships that I have with other people that are not healthy, some of them you may have to pull away from permanently. The demons in them want to control you and stop you from your true freedom. You can imagine when the Hebrews left Egypt, there's probably a lot of families where people are like, I don't know if we should go. I think we should stay. And then the other people are like, well, I'm going. I'm tired of this slavery. I'm tired of bowing down to Pharaoh and being abused. And again, symbolically, if you could be in relationships today with people that you are bowing down to them because you're more afraid of what the future might look like once you take that first step of freedom. Once you stand up to them and say, listen, I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. I'm going to go where the Lord is leading me. It's never a mistake to serve the Lord. It's never a mistake to follow Jesus, and He will provide a way out. It may be hard. There's definitely a lot of people that are in relationships where they're having to break free from them. The demons in those people that are used to controlling you will throw a fit. They will accuse you of things. They will twist the truth. They will gossip about you. It's not easy. It wasn't easy for the Hebrews to pull away from the slavery of the Egyptians. And then they end up going onto the promised land, as they're on the way there. And what do? They complain. So there's a lot of complainers. Once you are breaking free, you may have people that will complain and complain and complain. So you may have to endure that, and that's not a fun thing to do as well. Same thing if you are addicted to things, addicted to, again, alcohol, to drugs, to smoking, vaping, overeating, all kinds of things, overspending. It's not easy to break free from that, the addictions. The important thing is to get healed, to say, listen, okay, Lord, why did I start doing this? And you'll always be able to understand, because the Lord will show you if you're open to it. Lord, why did I start doing these destructive behaviors? People that struggle with pornography, they were exposed to it initially, and then they struggle with it. That's why 50% of pastors struggle with pornography. 75% of men that are churchgoers struggle with pornography. They don't know how to break free. They are in bondage to that. And so when I help people get healed and delivered from that in a personal session, is I'll have them go back to that time, that first time in their life that they can remember. And most everybody can remember. They're like, oh my gosh, I can remember it like yesterday, the first time I was exposed to that. Yes, I had these feelings. And so what I'll do is have them close their eyes, go back to that time in their life. I'll separate the demons that attach to their soul, the demons of lust and so forth, and command them to separate. And then I ask Jesus to come to speak to them. And Jesus will always tell them, I'm sorry that happened to you. That's not what you should have been exposed to. And then what you do is you exchange. You say, Lord, I give you all these feelings of lust and perversion and all these things. I don't want them anymore. And then Jesus will take them. And then you receive from Jesus His peace and His love and His purity, and the childlike innocence can get restored to you. And then you can command the demons to go from that. And then you won't struggle anymore. But of course, you have to want it. You have a free will to choose. So that's why a lot of people don't get healed and delivered, because they don't want it. They're so used to the addiction, and it becomes their friend, and these demons become their friend. So we need to understand people have a free will. They can choose if they want to do the right thing or if they want to do the wrong thing. And so we need to make sure that we want it. And if you want it bad enough, then the Lord will be faithful and just to set you free from that. But we have a free will. You have to choose. Do you want it? Do you not? I remember a lady about a year ago, she had an addiction to vaping, and she came to this church in Hot Springs and not expecting to get delivered from that. And then the Lord had spoke to me about wanting to deliver people from their addictions. And she was like, okay, I want this. I really want this. And that day she got delivered that morning at church. And when she went out to her car to vape, like she had already done all the time, like she did it like I think every 15 minutes she had to vape. It was very addictive. And she didn't have the desire to do it anymore. And then she went and ate lunch, and then after lunch she was going to vape again. She's like, I don't think I need to do this anymore. And it went on from day to day to day, to week to month, and now it's been over a year, and she's been freed from that. And she's like, wow, when you get delivered from the Lord, it's like it's instant, you know. But we do have a free will, so the enemy may try to tempt you to come back, and you have to resist that. So we do have free wills, you know. And oftentimes deliverance can be a process. So if you pursue inner healing and deliverance, and then you struggle, the enemy's going to try and tempt you to go back, and the enemy's going to then condemn you and put a lot of blame on you so that you feel guilty about messing up again. But understand the Lord wants you to be free. Of course he does. And when you're going through, when you're crossing into your freedom, just like the Hebrews did, it was not an easy process. You're going to have to fight it. You know, you may have to fast. You may have to pray in tongues. You may have to have a friend, be kind of an accountability partner. Reach out to them and say, I'm struggling. Help me. I need help. Again, soul wound healing and deliverance is typically a process. And it's just like, if a person offends you and you take the offense and you get angry, you get mad, and you don't forgive them, then those demons have legal rights to come back. So when the Lord, I talked about this frequently. I went out to the Badlands of South Dakota. I wanted to see how bad they were. It was very bad, very dusty, very dirty. My car was filthy, and I had to wash the car the next day. And when I was washing the car, I'm like, Lord, gosh, I wish I could just wash the car once, but I have to wash it like every week because it gets bugs splattered on the windshield. It gets filthy and dirty and dusty, and I have to wash it. And as I'm going through the car wash, the Lord said, yeah, you live in the Badlands, Nelson. You live on earth. There's a lot of people there who have demonic spirits, and they're going to offend and do things that are wrong, and they're in the church. You know, and there's pastors, and there's people that are selfish and that will lie and gossip. So your job is to forgive and stay in that forgiveness state. Doesn't mean that you're going to have a relationship closely with someone who is toxic, who has demonic spirits. You may have to part from them so that you can not get reinfected by them. But you do have to forgive. You know, Jesus said that if we don't forgive other people who have sinned against us, then God will not forgive us. And that will give legal rights to the demonic spirits. So you're going to have people that are going to say things and do things to hurt you, and you got to stay in that state of forgiveness so that you can stay clean. You know, and that's a part of breaking free from the bondage of what you've gone through in the past. You know, and there's a lot of people that have children that have been hurt, that have been wounded, and you may have to love them even from a distance. You know, if they're still in their addictive states, if they have been molested, if they have been hurt and wounded when they're growing up, and they're doing things that are destructive to them, you may have to love them from afar. Always be in love with them. Don't take an offense on your children and get angry and bitter. But you can, little by little, once you start to love on them, you can actually build or rebuild that relationship. And then they can listen to you, and then you can help them to their freedom. But it's very analogous to the Hebrews leaving Egypt, is that it was not an easy process. And, you know, Moses was trying to help them, you know, to try and get them to not complain and complain and complain. Ultimately, they did complain. They complained. So if you are in the process of breaking free from your past, and you continue to speak negative and continue to complain, then that is basically speaking into your circumstances. And complaining is what the enemy wants you to do, so that you will ultimately give these demons legal rights to continue to give you doubt and fear. And complaining is one of the top things that I've seen that Christians struggle with. Is they're going through a lot of hardships, and it's much easier for them to complain and try and get people to give them sympathy and act like they're a victim than it is to be quiet and to go through some struggles, some suffering on their part and on their end. You know, it's easy for people to also get into selfish motives, to where they're very selfish. People that are not mature spiritually are very selfish, and they'll complain and they'll look at me, look how hard my life is, and complain about it. People that are spiritually mature won't do that, you know, and you know, there are going to always be situations where we're going to have to do some overcoming. You know, as you get more spiritually mature, then you won't be complaining to people. So it is a process to move away from your past. You know, again, it could be individuals. If you have people that you have relationships with that are toxic, that are not delivered, they're not going to let you go easy. They're going to oftentimes, could be religious people that will twist the scriptures and try to manipulate you and prey on your, P-R-E-Y, prey on your heartstrings and your mercy heart, trying to get you to listen to their demons and continue to keep you in the bondage that they have. So ultimately, I just want people to understand that we have to be careful who we align ourselves with. If people that are close to us are not the way that they should be with the Lord, then the Lord may have you part from them. And it may be a challenge to do. It's not easy, I understand that. But the peace that you will have pulling away from those who are not at peace is wonderful, when you actually have the peace that passes all understanding. If you stay in connection with people who are not peaceful, who are selfish, who have a lot of fruit of the flesh, then that will affect you, and you'll end up having a lot of challenges in your life. So, all right, well, I will let you guys go. And again, July the 5th, I'll be up in North Dakota, at Jamestown, North Dakota. Looking forward to seeing everyone there. You can find out more at restoredtofreedom.com in the events section, also Restored to Freedom on Facebook. So we'll see you guys later. All right, bye-bye.